Okay, I need a quiet, please. Stop your conversations. I need a quiet. If you go into your Schoology, you go to courses, you go and you click on your CHAD class, you go into Unit 1, you go into exam review. Stop your conversations, please. I have a couple of things for you. I have a slide ID review. I have a matching and multiple choice review. And then there's this picture of flashcards. This is what I would like flashcards to look at. I approved yours, right? But I want everybody to use physical cards. So get index cards, and you're going to put the picture on one side, and you are going to write the information on the other side. So if you cannot print pictures, just quickly sketch it. All right. And all right, there are 20 works of art in the, and this is extra credit. So you get 5 extra points on your slide ID. But there are 20 works of art in the slide ID. All right, so let's go to the slide ID. And if you go down here and click on it, there we go. It'll look like this. All right. Each work of art has the title, the date, and the period that it belongs to. 20 works of art. And this is just straight memorization. All right. 5 of these artworks are going to be on the slide ID portion of the test, where I will ask you to give me the title, the date, and the period.
And that's the portion that we're taking on Friday or tomorrow.
Tuesday.
Okay, so this part is on
Tuesday.
So what are we going to do tomorrow?
I understand. I'll get to that.
Okay.
All right. Because I won't have time tomorrow to explain what we're doing on Tuesday. All right. Okay, so on Tuesday, I'm going to show you 5 works of art that we looked at in class, and you tell me the title, the date, and the period. Now, what about the other 15 artworks that you memorized? 10 of those are going to show up on tomorrow's test inside the test. I'm going to show you a picture, and I will have all of the periods listed, and you just pick which one. You don't have to give me the date. Yes, it'll be in Schoology. All right. So what I suggest that you study tonight, you make your flashcards tonight, and you memorize the title and the period. Don't worry about the date until Tuesday. Does that make sense? All right, and that'll get you prepared for 10 of your questions tomorrow.
So we should show you these tomorrow.
I don't need to see them tomorrow. Tuesday. They are for your slide ID portion of the test. All right. Any other questions about flashcards? Okay, so once again, this is just straight memorization. The students that do poorly on the slide ID portion of the test are the students that just fail to memorize. All right. It is different than what you're used to. Like, how long has it been since you've had to like strictly memorize just facts? Has it been a while? All right. So just memorize. All right. Now I want to go to these are the I just finished making the test yesterday. What we're about to do is look at all the terms that are on the test. Everything that I'm about to show you is on the test, either as an answer or as a non-answer. Does that make sense? But you have to know what these things are in order to know that it's not the right answer or if it's the right answer. I'm going to go through this fast. This list is in Schoology. In fact, I'm going to show you where it is in Schoology. In your Schoology class, you go to Unit 1, you go to Exam Review, and this Exam 1, Matching and Multiple Choice. This list is the same thing that we're about to go over. So I would recommend, we're going to go through this really fast. I'm going to recommend that if you know it, good. If not, write it down and then come back to it later. All right. Amarna style. That is the weird period of Egyptian art that was monotheistic and had the weird heads. Do you remember the weird alien heads and the curvy body? That was Amarna style. Canon is on the test. In the whole history of Egyptian art, with the exception of the Amarna style, the style of figures never changed. Everybody painted or sculpted the figures exactly the same way. That's canon. Everybody's doing the same thing the same way. It's the same set of rules for everybody. The capital is the top of the column. The citadel at Tiryns. I know that is one of the things I had in purple up on the screen. All right, so that might tell you that this might be one of the non-answers. But just to remind you, the citadel at Tiryns was the one fortress that had the 20-foot thick walls that people believe that the Cyclops built. Clear Story. We took the field trip to go look at the clear stories around campus. You should know what a clear story is. Composite figure. Do you guys remember Lionhead? That's a composite figure where you have animal parts and people parts together in the same place. The Sphinx is another example of that. The Minotaur is an example of that. Crook and Flail is on the test. I think I'm going to show you a picture of a crook and flail, and you should be able to identify, hey, that's a crook and flail. Remember, that's the shepherd's hook and the whip. You should know your crowns. The bowling pin hat, the red chair hat, and the bowling pin sitting in the red chair hat. Know what they're for. Cuneiform is on the test. You should be able to identify cuneiform when you see it. Egyptian art has very shallow space. It's like everybody's on the ledge on a wall. Engaged column is the column that is in the wall. I want you to know what a fertility goddess should look like. What are the characteristics of a fertility goddess? How would you know a fertility goddess if you saw it? Big. I want you to know what a fresco is. And you should know the difference between a buon fresco and a fresco secco. There's a question about gold leaf. You should know what a gold leaf is. Thin sheets of gold. Were you absent? Yeah, we watched a video on it. If you want to go back into the videos, it's the Sumerian art. It's in the video, and you'll be able to watch the video on it. You should know who Hatshepsut is. She was the female pharaoh. She portrayed herself as a man. She built that magnificent temple in the middle of the desert, or the temple with the big ramps that went up, and it had all the sphinxes on the side, and we looked at all the rooms. You should know hierarchy of scale. It's where the bigger people are more important. Where somebody is big because they are more important. We did not discuss hieroglyphics at all, I think, but everybody generally knows that hieroglyphics is the writing of the Egyptian language. Seems to me like it would be a non answer in the test. You should know the relationship of Horus to the Pharaoh. Horus is the Pharaoh is Horus. Horus rules Egypt through the Pharaoh. Pharaoh rules Egypt through Horus. Imhotep is on the test. He is the first artist ever in recorded history. He built the stepped pyramid. Lamassu. Lamassu are one of my favorite things about Mesopotamian art. I think they're cool. Anyways, they're the guardians of the gates. You should know their purpose of them. They not only guard the gates, but they intimidate visitors. They are a show of strength. Same thing with the Lion Gate. We looked at two Lion Gates during this unit, and they both had the same message. They had the same purpose as the Lamassu. Mastabas are on the test, or the word mastaba is on the test. Those rectangular buildings from the from the pre-dynastic period of Egyptian art that we looked at. They are tombs. They are the precursors to pyramids. What does the word Mesopotamia mean? Between two rivers. That is correct. Which two rivers? Tigris and Euphrates. That is on the test as well. They'll pop up here soon. All right, all four kingdoms of Egypt are going to be in the test. The pre-dynastic, the old kingdom, the middle kingdom, and the new kingdom. They'll all be on the test. The pre-dynastic, we looked at the Palette of Narmer and Mastabas. The old kingdom is pyramids. The middle kingdom is they hid the tombs in the cliffs. The new kingdom is temples, like the Temple of Hatshepsut. Pre-dynastic was the first one. It'll pop up here soon. Yeah, the tombs in the cliffs, like Beni Hassan. What do Minoan columns look like? What was unusual about the Minoan columns? Yeah, they were fatter on the top. They were red. Remember the red columns? They were fatter on top. Mortuary Temple of Hatshepsut is on the test. That's the one with the long ramps and staircases with all the Sphinx on the side. We looked at all the rooms that were at the end. No, I really tried to keep this test simple. All right. And I don't go into that much depth in the test.
So like, there's not gonna be a question about those four little soldier men on the inside.
No, there's not. No. Right. So which one is which, and yeah, which one is hidden, and which three get the light? Yeah. No. All right. Nefertiti is on the test. Yeah, this is although this is college. This is your the lowest level of art history. That kind of question would be in the upper levels of art history. You know. All right, Nefertiti. You need to know that there there are some questions about some of the historic figures, and Nefertiti pops up in those questions. I did not talk about Nefertiti much in class. We looked at her bust, all right, the portrait of her, and that was pretty much it. She was married to Akhenaten. That was pretty much it. That's all I talked about with Nefertiti. She does. She is on the test. Nemes. It's the Cobra hat. It's the hat that the Egyptians wore, and it flares out on the sides like a cobra that has its wings out. Yes, yes. In the death mask of Tutankhamun, he is wearing a Nemes. All right, I just went over this. You need to know the pre-dynastic, Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom. Just as a reminder, New Kingdom is characterized by grand temples, like the mortuary temple of Hatshepsut. Ochre and charcoal, what were they used for? Yeah, like which era used ochre and charcoal? Paleolithic. I just went over this. Old Kingdom, Palace of Knossos. You remember that's where they thought the labyrinth of Minos was. It turns out it's not a palace at all. It's a communal space for business and government. Does that mean we have 6 more minutes? Yeah.
By labyrinth, you mean
The maze, right. Labyrinth is a maze. All right. On this one, Paleolithic, you should know the artistic differences between Paleolithic and Neolithic. What was the difference between Paleolithic art and Neolithic art?
Paleolithic was used primarily just for survival, and Neolithic was more aesthetic for like eye pleasing. They did it for entertainment.
What shows up in Neolithic that doesn't show up in Paleolithic? You should know a post and lintel when you see one. That's easy. Pre-dynastic, I just went over this. Ramses will pop up on the test. You remember his temple did have where the sun went through and shined on the figures in the back, and he has those four giant figures in the front. You didn't even know what a register is. You need to know the two rivers of Mesopotamia. Are we good? The rod and ring pops up on the test. You need to know what a stele is. That's the flat stone that has an image on it that records some great military victory or some important historical event. The Sumerian votive figures. Why? Why do they look like they do? What is their purpose?
Are those the ones that are in like the not with the big eyes?
Those are the ones with the big eyes, yes. The Tower of Jericho, the first tallest building, even though it was underground, which I think is hilarious. Treasury of Atreus was right at the end of Unit 1. That's the one with the corbelled dome. All right, and that is one of the ones that the letters for that were purple. You need to be able to identify twisted perspective when you see it. That's the profile face with the frontal eye and the frontal chest and the profile hips and the profile legs. That's the profile bull with the frontal horns. And finally, ziggurat. You cannot have a test in Unit 1 without a ziggurat. You should all know what a ziggurat is. The Spice Girls sang about it. Are there any questions over any of that? If you want me to go, we went through this very quickly. If you want me to go back over it, um, then we can. This list is in Schoology. I also want you to write down Akhenaten. I think Akhenaten's name pops up in the test. Akhenaten. He was the pharaoh that made everything monotheistic. He started the Amarna style. He had the sculptures of himself with lady hips. I've explained the test. We're going to have this portion, all these terms right here that we just went over, they're going to pop up on the test. 10 of the things from the slide ID portion will pop up on the test. All right. Is it time to go to lunch? It's time for lunch. Oh, for the slides? What? Okay, so on the slide ID, I give you 20 artworks to remember. 10 of them are going to pop up in the test tomorrow. Another 5 are going to pop up in the test on Tuesday.